Good morning, student. Welcome to the fifth lecture of unit number 4. In today's lecture, we are going to discuss about what is image view, scroll view, and how to pick date and time in mobile application development. So first, let's start with the image view. In Android, image view class is used to display an image file in an application. So image file is easy to use but hard to master in Android because of the various screen sizes in Android devices. As we have discussed in the unit number 3, there are different sizes that DP, then HDDP, then HHDP likewise. So an Android is enriched with some of the best UI design widgets that allow us to build good looking and attractive UI based applications. Now in the last example, that means in the last lecture, we have seen grid view. In grid view also we have used different images. Okay, but now in today's lecture we are going to discuss image view separately, how to implement image view in mobile application development. So it must be noted that image view comes with different configuration options to support different scale types. Scale type options are used for scaling the bounds of an image to the bounds of the image view. That means inside image view, there is an image. So we use scale type options that is used for scaling the bounds of an image to the bounds of the image view. So some of the scale type configuration properties are center, center crop, XY, that means X and Y coordinate, fit start, etc. So this given is an image view code in XML. But before that, make sure that to save image in a drawable folder. For example, here I am using Lion image, so that Lion image must be saved in a drawable folder. Okay, now you know that drawable folder is present inside resources and under the layout folder. So your images must be stored in a drawable folder. So this is the syntax for image view. So image view Android ID, that means again unique identification is assigned to an image view. So ID that is given to image view is simple image view. Now how I given this ID to this image view? So first go to your layout, drag and drop image view. After drag and dropping image view, click on the properties, and inside the property there is a ID. So set ID as a simple image view. So after doing this, when you open your XML file, that time this XML file shows code related to that design. So once you have set properties in the design layout, it will show in XML file like @ +id / simple image view. After that, set height and width of that image view, and Android source is equals to @ drawable / lion. It means that this lion image is stored in a drawable folder. So that is the source for this particular image. Okay, so this much of coding we have to do in an image view. So after that, let's discuss about the attributes of image view. So first one is the ID. So we know that ID is an attribute used to uniquely identify a image view in Android. So we can say that this is the example for an Android ID. So how to set ID for particular image view. Then second attribute is source. So source is an attribute which is used to set a source file, or you can say image in your image view to make your layout attractive. That means the source of your image, where you have stored your image that you want to use in your Android application. The next attribute is background. So background attribute is used to set the background of all image view. We can set a color or drawable in the background of image view. It means that in the background you can set any color, or you can set any image in the background. So when you want to set any color or image in background, that time we have to use background attribute or background property. Then the next property is padding. So padding attribute is used to set the padding from the left, right, top or bottom of the image view. So for padding the left, right, top and bottom, we use padding attribute. So what is padding? So first we will discuss padding right. So set the padding from the right side of the image view. For that we use padding right. When we want to set the padding from the left side of the image view, that time we use padding left. To set the padding from the top side of the image view, padding top, and padding bottom is used to set the padding from the bottom side of the image view. So padding set the padding from all the sides of the image view. So when you use simple padding property, it means that it is going to set padding from the all sides of the image view. And the last attribute is that scale type. So this is a spelling mistake. Actually, it is a scale type, SCALE. So scale type is an attribute which is used to control how the image should be resized or moved to match the size of the image view. Now, most of the time we copy and paste image, and that time we have to resize our image or move to match the size of the particular image in that view. So for that we use scale type, which is used to control how the image should be resized or moved to match the size of the image view. So the value for scale type attribute can be fit underscore xy. That means it is fit as per the x and y coordinates. Center, that means it will fit at the center, and fit start, etc. So this is about the attributes of the image view. So let's see how to implement image view in mobile application development. So as we have seen here, the syntax for image view is that first we have to drag and drop image view in our layout, and after that open XML file. It means that your XML file shows coding related to that image view which you have drag and drop in your layout. So drag and drop image view in your layout. Then assign ID. So I have given ID as simple image view lion, because here I am going to use lion image. After that, set height and width. So width is fill parent, and height I have mentioned here height as a 200 dp. Scale type is fit xy. That means your lion image will fit itself as per the x and y coordinates of the image view. And the source for the particular image is @drawable/lion. It means that the image with name lion is stored inside the drawable folder, which is present inside the resources. Then I have used another image view. That means I am going to display one image which is a lion image and another image which is a monkey image. So again, I have assigned ID to this second image view. ID is simple image view monkey. Again, set height and width. After that, scale type is again fit xy. That means as per the x and y coordinates. And source for the monkey image is drawable/monkey. So this is your output. So after doing this much of coding, once you click on run, your Android virtual device will going to run, and it will show you output as like this. That means the first is the lion image and second is the monkey image. So here the height of my image, height of the layout is 200 dp, and again here height is 200 dp, but here I have used scale type as fit x and y. It means that both the image fit itself as per the x and y coordinates. So this is about the image view. After this image view, we have scroll view. So now what is meant by scroll view? Now you know that there is a scroll bar. When you open any application, there is a scroll bar. So you can scroll upward and downward. That means vertically, or you can also sometimes scroll it horizontally also. So in Android, scroll view can hold only one direct child. Now what is only one direct child? We will discuss. This means that if you have a complex layout means layout with more views. That means layout with buttons, text view, or any other view. Then you must enclose them inside another standard layout like table layout, relative layout, or linear layout. It means that when we have a complex layout, that means when we have complex view, like there are number of buttons, number of text views, and number of other views, that time it is recommended that to use table layout or relative layout or linear layout. Now what is table layout, relative layout, or a linear layout? You have to go to the unit number 3. Just go through all the videos of unit number 3. So you can specify layout width and layout height to adjust width and height of screen. So you can also specify height and width in DP. That means density pixel. DP means density pixel, or you can specify height and width in only pixel. And then after enclosing them in a standard layout, enclose the whole layout in a scroll view to make all the elements or views scrollable. That means inside a single scroll view, you can implement one or more layouts. But it is necessary that you have to specify these all layouts in a single scroll view. That means in Android, scroll view can hold only one direct child. So it doesn't matter whether there are one layout, two layout, or three layout, but if they are enclosed under the single scroll view, it means that scroll view holding only one direct child. So the attributes for this scroll view are first, let's see. Scroll view and horizontal scroll view has same attributes. The only difference is that scroll view scroll the child items in vertical direction, while horizontal scroll view scroll the child items in horizontal direction. So now let's discuss how these attributes help us to configure scroll view and its child control. So the first attribute is ID. So in Android, ID attribute is used to uniquely identify a scroll view. So this is the example for the ID scroll view. First, as we know that we have to specify unique identification to the particular scroll view. So once I drag and drop scroll view in layout, I set the property ID as scroll view, and after opening XML file, it will show you as the Android ID equals to @ID/ID/scroll view. Then set the layout height and width. Then the next attribute is scroll bar. So in Android, scroll bar attribute is used to show the scroll bars in horizontal or vertical direction. The possible value of scroll bars is vertical, horizontal, or none. But by default, scroll bars is shown in vertical direction in scroll view and in horizontal direction in horizontal view. Okay, so by default, in vertical scroll view, it will show vertical, and in horizontal scroll view, it shows the horizontal scroll view in horizontal direction. So this is the syntax for the horizontal scroll view. Height and width is field parent, and Android scroll bar, this is the property for the scroll bar. So Android scroll bar is equals to horizontal, because here I have mentioned horizontal scroll view. So in horizontal scroll view, it will scroll in horizontal direction. That's why by default it is horizontal. If I have mentioned here vertical scroll view, that means that instead of this horizontal, I have to write here vertical. Okay, because in vertical scroll view, it will scroll in vertical direction. So these are the attributes related to scroll view. Now let's see how to implement scroll view. So for implementing scroll view, here I have used one text view. After that, scroll view, and inside the scroll view, I have implement linear layout, and inside the linear layout, there are 20 buttons. So first, to show the scroll view and linear layout, we need one text view. So for that, just drag and drop text view, set all the properties of the text view like ID, then gravity, center, horizontal, height and width of the text view. And the text that we want to display in a text view is vertical scroll view. Example, this text is going to display in a particular text view. Now after creating this text view, we have to create scroll view. So inside this text view, just drag and drop scroll view. then height and width of the scroll view, and ID of the scroll view. It is just enough for this much of coding for scroll view. And inside this scroll view we have to implement linear layout. As I told you, if you have a complex layout, that means you have more number of buttons, number of text view or any other view. That time you must enclose them inside another standard layout like a table layout, relative layout, or linear layout. Now as we are implementing scroll view, that means here we want to scroll our application. Scrolling means it contains more than one buttons, it contains number of layouts or number of views. It means that here we are going to use complex layout, and that's why here I have used linear layout, and inside this linear layout we have 20 buttons. Okay, so linear layout, here I have specified the height and width of the linear layout, and orientation is vertical. Now in the unit number 3, we have seen how to implement linear layout, how to add linear layout. So here orientation is given as vertical, because linear layout always works in either horizontal direction or vertical direction. So here I have specified orientation as vertical. So now we know that what is the syntax for the button. So opening bracket button, height and width of that button, and the text that we want to display on particular button is button 1. After that button 2, the text that we want to display on particular button is button 2, then button 3, button 4, likewise up to button number 20. But one thing that we have to notice is that this is linear layout. This linear layout is enclosed under a single scroll view. Okay, it doesn't matter how many buttons, how many text view it contains, but we have to enclose all these in a single scroll view, because scroll view can hold only one direct child. It means that although there are 20 buttons, but they are considered as a single direct child, because all these buttons are enclosed in a single scroll view. And after that, relative layout, because we have done all this coding in a relative layout. So inside the relative layout, we have created one text view. That text view will display vertical scroll view example. Inside this text view, we have drag and drop one scroll view, and inside this scroll view, we have done our all coding related to linear layout. So your output will look like this. This is the vertical scroll view example. That means this is the text view that we have created, and this is the text that we want to display in our text view. And after that, inside this linear layout, these all are the buttons. That is button 1, button 2, 3, 4. And after scrolling this, you will see like this up to 20 buttons. Okay, and the orientation of our linear layout is vertical, and that's why all these buttons are displayed in a vertical direction. And by default our scroll view is also vertical, and that's why all these buttons will scroll in a vertical direction. So this is about the scroll view. Now the next topic is Android Toast. Now what is Android Toast? A toast provides simple feedback about an operation in a small pop-up. So it only fills the amount of space required for the message, and current activity remains visible and interactive toast disappear after a timeout. For example, clicking send on an email triggers a sending message toast as shown in given screen capture. It means that after clicking on send an email, it will trigger as a sending message. When you click send message, it will show you as a message sending or a view send message. Okay, so these all notifications are called as toast, and the toasts are active for some time, remains active for some time, and after that, after timeout, they will disappear. So this notification, in simple language, we can say that the notifications that display on our mobile screens are Android Toast alerts. So this is the particular image sending message. So this message, this notification is called as Android Toast alert message. So if your apps is in the foreground, consider using a snack bar instead of using a toast. This is alternative to using toast. So instead of toast, you want to use some alternative. That time you have to use snack bar if your apps are running in the foreground. So snack bar includes user actionable options which can provide a better app experience. So if your app is in the background and you want users to take some actions as a notification instead, that time you can use snack bar. Then how to instantiate a toast object, how to create a toast object. For that, use the make test method, which takes the following parameters. This make test method takes three parameters. First one is application context. Second one is the text that should appear to the user. That means what text you want to show to the user. Likewise here, sending message. Instead of this, you can show view send message. So the first parameter is application context. Second parameter is the text that should appear to the user. And the third parameter is the duration that the toast should remain on the screen. As I told you, toast is a notification, or we can say that toast is a message that is active, active for some particular time, and after timeout it will disappear. So how much duration you want to show your toast alert on your screen is the third parameter that you have to pass to the make test method. So these are the three parameters of the make test method. And then the make test method returns a properly initialized toast object. After passing these three objects, make test method returns a properly initialized toast object. Then show the toast. To display the toast, so after instantiating object, after passing these three parameters, and after make test method returns a properly initialized toast object, how to show this toast? So to display the toast, call the show method. So how to call show method? First, we have to use value text. What text we want to display is the hello toast. The duration, how long we want to display that toast, is a toast dot length underscore short. Here we have to mention the particular time that we want to display for the toast alert notification. So value toast is equals to toast dot make test. This is the make test method. So value toast is equals to toast dot make test. First parameter is application context. As we know that first parameter is application context. Second parameter is text that should appear to the user, that we want to show to the user is text. And third parameter is the duration. And after doing all this, toast dot show method with return toast dot show method will return a properly initialized toast object. Then chain your toast method calls. So you can chain your toast methods to avoid holding on to the toast object as shown in the following code snippet, like toast dot make test. Now we have seen this toast dot make test context text duration dot show method. Then this is about the toast method. What is toast? Toast is a notification, or we can say that toast is an alert message that is appeared on your screen for a particular time period, and after timeout it is going to disappear. For that, first we have to instantiate the toast object by using make test method. That make test method takes three parameters. First one is application context. Second one is the text that should appear to the user. Third one is the duration that toast should remain on the screen. And after that, how to show the toast? For that we use show method and the chain your toast method calls. So this is about the Android toast. Next we have date and time picker. How to set date and time in mobile application. So first we will discuss about date picker. So date picker allows you to select the date consisting of day, month, and year in your custom user interface. Custom user interface means that by using this interface, you can set the date, month, and particular year. So for this functionality, Android provides date picker and date picker dialog components. Okay, so in this section, we are going to demonstrate how the use of date picker. through the date picker dialog. So date picker dialog is a simple dialog containing date picker, and in order to show the date picker dialog, you have to pass the date picker dialog ID. To show date picker dialog, we have to pass the date picker dialog ID to show dialog method. So to show dialog method, we have to pass the ID of dialog. ID means the unique identification that we are going to assign to this date picker dialog while coding. So its syntax is as show dialog 999. So this is the particular ID that we have given to date picker, and that ID we have to pass to the show dialog method. So on calling this show dialog method, another method called onCreateDialog gets automatically called. So after calling the show dialog and the inside ID, another method that is onCreateDialog gets automatically called. So we have to override that method too, and the syntax for this is override protected dialog onCreateDialog int ID. Int ID, it means that the date picker dialog ID that we have passed here inside the show dialog. So this is the int ID, and this onCreateDialog method will call automatically. So if ID is equals to 999, it means that if ID is equals to the ID of date picker dialog, it means that it will return new date picker dialog, and this new date picker dialog will show first attribute is the this, then my date listener, year, month, and day. Otherwise return null. Then in the last step, you have to register the date picker dialog listener and override its onDateSet method. This onDateSet method contains the updated day, month, and year, and the syntax for this is that date picker dialog dot onDateSet listener, my date set listener is equals to new date picker dialog dot on set date listener. So this is the object. Again, we have to override this method also. So in this on date set method, we have to pass arguments like date picker argument 0, int argument 1, int argument 2, and int argument 3. This date picker argument 0 is for the date picker dialog. Argument 1, it means that the year, argument 2 means month, and argument 3 means day. So we have to pass these three arguments along with the fourth one, that is date picker argument 0, to the onDateSet method. Now the attributes for the date picker, first one is get day of month. How to get day of month? For that, we use get day of month method. So this method gets the selected day of particular month. After that, get month method. So this method gets the selected month. Get year. This method gets the selected year. After that, set maximum date. So this method sets the maximum date supported by this date picker in milliseconds since January 1, 1970 in date default time zone. So sometimes when you fill online application form, there is a date, or we can say that there is a year for the 1970 and not more than 1970. So this is the time limit which is set to this date and time picker. Then set minimum date, likewise maximum date, there is a minimum date. Then set spinner show. This method sets whether the spinners are shown. Update date, that means int year, int month, int day of month. This method updates the current date. It means that if your maximum date is January 1, 1970 and your minimum date is 21st May 2021, and you are going to set the date on 22nd May. It means that it will automatically update this date, month, and year. Then get calendar view. This method returns the calendar view. It means that it will show you the view of calendar. So these are the attributes related to the date and time picker. And the last one is the get first day of week. This method returns the first day of the week. So this is the implementation of date picker. For that, first you have to import date picker in your layout. After that, import one text view and import one toast for the alert message. After that, create object, private date picker, calendar, text view, and initialize year, month, and day. And after that, pass argument to the onset method, which we have seen. The argument to the past onset on date set methods are: first one is date picker, argument 0, that means your date picker dialog. Argument 1 is your year, argument 2 is month, and argument 3 is date. Okay, and after that, after passing these 3 argument to the on date set method, you show that method, that means argument 1, argument 2 plus 1, and argument 3. It means that year, month in the particular year, and the day. So this is about the date picker. Then we have to do this much of coding in the main activity.java file. After that, this is the coding related to your design, that means your activity_main.xml file. So in this file, we have created one button and 3 text view. So first button, on click method is set on this button, that is set date. Then text view, date label one set, another text view, and this is the third text view. So your output will be like this. Press the button to set the date. This is your first text view. This is your button, that means set date, and the on click method is implemented on this button. So once you click on set date, it will show you the calendar, and this is your another text view, and this is your third text view. So once you click on set date method, it will show you the calendar, and by using this calendar, you can customize your date and year. So once you click on OK, it will show you the date which is selected by you, that is 25th December 2016. And likewise, for time picker, again we have to use on time set method. There is on date set method, here we use on time set method. The attributes are time picker, int hour of the day, and int minutes. So there are 3 attributes. First one is time picker attribute, second is hours of the day attribute, and second was the minutes of the day attribute. So this is your coding for the time, and this coding is by default available in your Android Studio. You have to just drag and drop time picker in your layout. So this is about the date and time picker, and here we have completed our unit number 4.